Tractate Tuvot, page 20, the top of the page. בעמיני אביי מרבה, חצר שראשה נכנס לבין הפסים, מהו לטלטל מתוכה בין הפסים, ומבין הפסים לתוכה. Here we have the fifth question that Abaye asked Rabbah. You see in Meorot, picture number 131. We have here a courtyard. You see this development, the two buildings. Here on this domain, you see this Jumad, the 4-1, and you see the well in between. Now he asks, when is the open end which interpose between the boards? You see this end, entrance? It's between. So this is get close to the well. What is the law regarding to carrying from inside the courtyard to the area between this area? So Rabbah responds to him and said, Mutar. Now remember, we talk here about the Olei Regalim, the pilgrims that they getting there, and soon you see what the Tosfot and Adam Mefarshim said. The Olei Regalim, the pilgrims, they come there only 3 times a year or even less, depend how they manage, and it's really in a way temporary visitor. So he said here, that's the reason that he allow. Now the Ritva explain, when you have a place of dwelling as a permanent resident, it's if people intend to dwell in some sense of permanency. But if it's all just passing by visitors, even they staying for some period, it's not considering any type. That's basically Ritva agree with Rashi. So Abaye continued with question, and he said, Shtaim Mai. Now you see which time. You see this open, you see this open, you see this mechitza in between the petition. You have here 2 development, you have 2 opening, you have the well, and you have the Jumad in the 4 corners. So he asked a question, and Rashi said, Shtaim zo etzel zo, one next to the other, umechitza benehem, ושתיהם ראשן בין הפסים, the head, it's between the pasim, between the line. So they explained, they said, Amar lei, Rabbah said to him, if that's the case, asur. Each courtyard makes the other one prohibited. That's what Rashi said. He elaborated that, and he said, Amar Rav Huna, Shtaim, 2 courtyard, Asurin va'afilu ervu. Please look at the picture number 133. This one is 2 opening. This is a petach. You see inside they have another opening inside. So he said, Derech hapetach shebamchitza benehem. Rashi explained that in a mechitza, in the let me take this pencil. You see this mechitza, this petition. So this open area within the petition. So you have the 2 opening, but here you have the key opening. So he said it's prohibited vafilu ervu. Even they make עירובי חצרות between them. This is a special decree. גזרה שמא יאמרו עירוב מועיל לבין הפסים. That you know what? That people say that in that case עירוב is good even for this type of situation. And the rabbis want to avoid that. So they said to make עירובי חצרות, שיתופי מבואות in that sense is a problem. Now there's another one that disagree with that. Rava Amar, Ervu Mutar. Rava said that if the 2 courtyard make the Eruv together, you can carry from one to another. Amar le Abai le Rava, Tanya de Mesayalach. I have a proof to what you said. חצר שראשה אחד נכנס לבין הפסים, מוצר לתת בתוכה לבין הפסים ובין הפסים בתוכה. If you have a 1 yard that come in between the בין הפסים, if you have one yard that come in between בין הפסים, 1 yard, so he said, you can carry, אבל 2, but if you have 2 חצרות, אסור, you cannot. באמת דברים אמורים, what you talk about this situation, שלא ערבו. If people do not make עירובי חצרות, אבל ערבו, מותרים, but if they make an עירובי חצרות between them, you can carry between the pasim. So the Gemara asks, Leima teheve tshuvta de Ravuna. Now you have an issue with Ravuna. Why? Because Ravuna said that you cannot carry between the courtyard, even they make the eruv together. Remember, we just said it. Amar lach Ravuna, hatam dehadran ve'arvan. Look at the picture number 134. He said, שנפרצה ביניהם פרצה גדולה, בסופה שגלו לכל שרשות אחת היא. In that situation it's not clear, but here you see it was a big hole in between. So the minutes that happened, everyone knows that this area and this area, all these areas are one domain.
They're joined together.
The minutes you have such a huge pilsa, huge hole. So now we go to the 6th question. Yavshu mayim b'Shabbat ma'u. So he asked, can we carry between the pasim if the water dry out? Why? Because before Shabbat you're allowed to carry between them. So you may say that you go retroactively the time before Shabbat, or you said because the main purpose was to dwell water from that well, the minutes that it's dry out, forget it. אמר לי, כלום נעשית מחיצה בשביל המים? So Abai asked him, you going to tell me that that's partition made for the water? So Rashi here said the word klomar, and I explain it in my book, בברא כלומר ברש"י על הש"ס, כלום הותרה מחיצה כזו למשום מים. So it means Rashi wants to say, and that's basically you find very similar explanation in the Ran, in the Ritva, in the book called Leshon HaZahav, that it appears that this line, the whole petition made for the water, it's like the water is something that make it more stringent. Otherwise, you don't need a petition. And the truth is the opposite, that the whole idea of petition, it's because of the water. So Rashi here used the word klomar, and he wants to tell us that the reason that it becomes mutar, we allow it, it's only because of the water and nothing else. So he said, Maim en kan, mechitza en kan. So because the water dry out, so you don't have water and you don't have the pasim, those line is not considering petition. By Ravim, Yavshu maim b'Shabbat uvau b'Shabbat mau. All of a sudden you have a well, before Shabbat they have a water, during Shabbat, boom, it's dry, and then all of a sudden you have a rainy water. So you going to tell me that situation reopened and now they're allowed to carry on Shabbat or not? Amar le Abaye, yavshu b'Shabbat lo diba elach. If they dry out during Shabbat, it's not a question. Why? I asked for my teacher, which is Rabbah. Rabbah was the teacher of Abaye, and he told me that it's forbidden. Ba'u nameloti ba'elach, but if it's new water, like we explained, a raining water, because they have a petition that made in Shabbat. V'tanya, we learn in the Braita, kol mechitza asuya b'Shabbat, any type of petition that made on Shabbat, ben b'shugeg, ben b'mezid, ben b'ones, ben b'ratzon, shma mechitza, regardless of the circumstance. If it's made unwittingly or intentionally, etc., so it's still considering a petition. V'lavit marala, Amar Rav Nachman lo shanu ela lizrok, aval letatel lo. Rav Nachman said that this type of petition, it's allowed only if you throw the items, which means that someone throw an item from public domain to that area, so then he is basically liable, because according to the Torah it's considering a petition. But in regards to carrying, that's different story. So it's not allowed to carry in that domain because it's a rabbinic decree. So even you have now a situation, you have a rainy water that come back to that well during Shabbat, that's not a reason to reopen the subject and say that it's permissible. Ki itmar de Rav Nachman, the limitation that Rav Nachman said, amezid itmar. He speaks specifically about intentional. Amar Rabbi Lazar, hazorek leven pasei biraot chayav. If someone throw an item from public domain to that area between the pasim, so he need to bring a sin offering, because it's considering a private domain from the Torah, and therefore he carries on Shabbat hachnasa. That's one of the melachot, one of labors that forbidden on Shabbat. So the Gemara asks, Amulei pshita. They said to him, to Rabbi Eliezer, it's obvious. Ilav mechitzai, if it's not considering a petition from the Torah. Heichem yishterel lemalot. How will be able to? How come the sages allow him to take from the well that it's considering a private domain, and put it at the entrance of the public domain, which is the entrance of that well? So it's like superfluous. Why Rabbi Eliezer needs to say it? So he said, "Lo tzricha le'avad ke'ein pasei biraot," which means he made it looks like those lines, those biraot. Bershut harabim. He made it in a public domain that is no well. Vezarak letocha chayav, and he throw an item from a public domain to that place that they have a petition around. So this is a violation of biblical precept, and is a labor of a hachnasa, that putting in that public domain. Haname pshita, that's also obvious. Ilav de ba'alma mechitzai gabe borech mishterel taltele. So if it's not considering some type of petition in any place, even it's not have any type of well, so how come we're allowed to carry it in that domain around the well? So they said even that many people pass by, which means that domain, it's a domain that you see many people go by. You see this line show always a public domain. So people pass by that area all the time, and between the pasim is a location that people goes all the time. So he said, so since many people goes there, umay kamashmelan. So what chidush? What Rabbi Eliezer wants to tell us? Deloatu rabim valt lemechitzta, which means that the fact that you have many people there, it doesn't annul, it doesn't abrogate the petition. So it doesn't make it invalid. So ha amar Rabbi Eliezer chadazimna. Because Rabbi Eliezer said in that regard, and we're soon going to study it in page 22, if it was the domain, a place that many people pass by, it's like Reshut Rabim, many people go, yes, al ken al tzdadim, which means he moved the path to a side, which is outside of those lines. So otherwise, the fact that many people annulled the mechitza. But Chachamim were not tzarich, but said you don't need to bother, because this petition is valid, even many people pass by through them. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Ukanu, diachar kochan shel bechitzot. Here they want to tell us the validity, the very strong validity of those petition, that even many people pass by toward them, it's still considering invalid. Which means Rabbi Eliezer hold the same as the sages, that the fact that many people pass by that, it's not annul the petition. So now the question is, why Rabbi Eliezer need to repeat that idea? So the Gemara said, if you learn according to what Rabbi Eliezer said only from that source, which means that that's the validity of the petition, we may say, so it means that Rabbi Eliezer wants to comment on what the sages said, that's the idea of the petition. But anyway, Rabbi Eliezer did not hold the same as they are. It means that he just said it, but he also add that he followed the rule in halacha the same as they are. Maybe you said that Rabbi Eliezer hold that the same one, that one who throw between those pasim, between those lines, he is liable, and he doesn't need to say that one who throw by himself, it's a different. So he said, Chada miklal chavertaka itmar, which means because you use one source, which is someone who throw between the line, he's liable. So his student understand that he learned also from the sages in the Mishnah that the validity of those petition. So now in the continuation of the Mishnah, they said, Mutar להקריב לבאר ובלבד שתהא פרה ראשה ורובה בפנים ושותה. You can come close to the well as long as most of the body of the cow get close there. If you remember, we studied it in the Mishnah. Tnana Tam, we learned in the Mishnah. It's going to be learn in page 99. לא יעמוד אדם ברשות הרבים וישתה ברשות היחיד, which means a person should not stay in a public domain, and he's drinking in another place that is a private domain, and vice versa. ברשות היחיד וישתה ברשות הרבים. Why? Because then he moved and he violated the Torah precepts of carrying from one domain to another. אלא אם כן מכניס ראשו ורובו, only takes his head in most of his body למקום שבו הוא שותה, the place that he's drinking. So if he does that, then it's different stories, then it's permissible. Otherwise, if he's not bring his head and most of his body into the place where he's drinking, it's a violation. Turn the page 20b. וכן בגת. וכן בגת is also likewise in a wine press. So it's not speaking about Hilchot Shabbat. The GEMARA said later in 99b that it's applied to law of the tithe, that as long as one's head is most of his body in a wine press, he may drink the wine without first separating tithe, because drinking wine, it's considered incidental drinking. In other words, it's not required tightening. So they ask, if a human, if a person stay in one location and drink in different location, we understand that he needs most of his body. Or no? How about the animal, like cow? How do you know that it needs most of her body? That the animal took a head out of the public domain, and then he takes the utensil after her. So the Gemara defined the question. As long as the person holds the vessel that the cow drinking from it, he doesn't hold the cow, which means he doesn't hold the cow in her neck in order for her not to move her head in any place. You don't have an issue. Because you have most of the body from outside. The only thing left, so the only question is where you have should be a dilemma when you hold the bucket and hold the animal. So the question is, what do you do? So the Gemara said, we learned the answer when you're allowed to bring it close to the well. Which means, you see this picture, the cow, the head is inside, so she's drinking it. And he said, my love the nakitla v'nakit mana. That's only if you hold the cow and you hold the vessel together. So it's hold together, not in this case, but he really hold that. Lo, the nakit mana v'no nakitla. That he hold the vessel, he doesn't hold the cow. V'chi nakit mana v'no nakitla la mishare. If you're allowed to give her a drink, even the most of her body is between the mechitzot, between the line. The person should not fill up water and give it before his animal while he is holding the vessel in his hand. But he pulled the water from the well, and he put the water and she drink by herself. So now, so in order to understand it, so the Gemara said as follows. In order, we said in the Braita, אמר רבי הכה באבוס העומד ברשות הרבים גבוה 10 טפחים ורוחב 4 טפחים וראשו אחד נכנס לבית הפסים. So first, let me share with you the picture. It's a picture number 135. This is the person. He puts the evus here. And what happened is, the water running by itself to the animal, and she's just a hand between the mechitzot, and she drink it. So he's not feeding her directly, he's just putting it here. Now it's important, I elaborate a lot in my book on Rashi, Birak Lomar Rashi al Hashas. I explain, I don't know if you can show it, but I use the picture here, a different picture, because you see here the house, you see the animal, and you see this location when she's drinking. So again, what Rashi meant here, he meant that you need to have two conditions in order to allow it. Number one, he have a condition that a person should not put the water directly to his animal, and number two, that need to have just part of her body there. So they said, Gzera, the idea is Dilma, maybe he put this utensil, the Chazil Levus Dimekalkal. So sometimes he will see that the manager was damaged on the side of the public domain. So what did he do? Ve'atel etakune. So he forget about it and go and fix it. So what happened is, so in order to do it, he might take the bucket with him and he carry it from a private domain to a public domain. So he must pour out the water to the manager so he can reach the animal, and the animal reaches on his own. So we ask, in that situation, who will hold the ability? Because the sages put a decree that that forbidden to carry this vessel on the top of that manager. So they said, if someone within the private domain transform an object from corner to corner in the house without the intent to take them out to a public domain, venimlach, and then he changes his mind, alehem v'otziam patur, and then he changes his mind and basically pull them out to public domain, he is exempt from a sin offering, שלא הייתה עקירה משער ראשונו לכך, because originally the lifting or the first moment was not for that purpose of carrying a different domain. So Ella, the reason that we have this decree, it's because zimnin demitakenle, because sometimes you will fix the manger and then bring the bucket back in again, v'hadar me'aylele, and carrying it for public domain to a private domain. So that's the option that you are liable from the Torah. Is another option. According to, if you talk about a person, so he said that enough that his head, most of his body is in the domain that he's drinking. However, in the cow that is standing in a public domain and she's drinking from a vessel that you hold in a private domain, do we need most of her body or not? Because maybe you said, according to animal, if the animal, most of her body is in a private domain, you may worry that she take her head to a public domain. So he said, when the person hold this vessel, and you hold also her neck, because it's not enough that most of her body is in a private domain, and so therefore you can give her drink, because she cannot move her head. That he hold just the vessel, doesn't hold the animal. What's the halacha? Most of her body is inside, she's drinking, that's enough. That's only applied that he hold the vessel, the utensil, but doesn't hold the cow. That he hold both the cow and also the vessel. So it means if he doesn't hold the cow, you cannot hold this vessel and give her to drink, even most of her body is inside. That's also logically has to be that way, that you hold just the vessel, not the animal. Otherwise, mishari, how are you allowed to drink in that way? Tanya, we learn in regards to that distance in biraot. A person should not fill up the water and give it before his animal while he holds the vessel. Remember what we said? He fill it up and she drinking by herself. He just fill it up and she drinking by herself. So basically the Braita forbids the person to hold this vessel while she's drinking, but if he does that from here and she drinking by herself, is a distance, they allow to do it. Here we talk about a situation that it stands in the public domain in the heights of 10 handbreadth, and the width is a 4 handbreadth, and one part it's between ben apasim. The zimnin the chazre levus the mekalkel, again, that sometimes a person see that it's deteriorate, so ve'atel takun, and come and fix it, v'dar ledav le'ba'adei, the same. Take the utensil in his hand, so he moved from private to a public domain. So in that situation, do you basically say that he is liable to because of violation of some type of work on Shabbat, that the sages put such a decree? So they say that if someone move his items from one corner to another within private domain without the intent to take it to a public domain, the same logic thinking. You have to say that sometimes one will fix and then bring the bucket back in and again, suddenly move it from carrying it from public domain into the private domain. Tashma. Now we bring another source to prove according to the first idea, which is that he hold both vessel and the animal, and he allow to give her to drink at that time. Tashma. Come in here. Gamal shorshov v'rubom befnim. If you have a camel whose head and most of its body it's inside the private domain. So he said, of simoto, you forcefully put in his fed him inside, and several Gemarot said that that's the way the tayar, that's the way that the ancient Arab used to feed their camels, and be befnim, within the private domain, which means the person can stand in the private domain and feed his animals there as long as the animal, most of her body is there in private domain. So basically you said that in that situation, feeding is like the case where you hold the bucket and also hold the animal. So and we require that the head and most of its body is inside the domain whereas it's eating. So we rejected that. The GEMARA said, Camel is different because his neck is very long. So that's different because even he move his head, he cannot go to a public domain. Tashma if you have animals that most of its body were inside a private domain, so it said of sinutami befnim. So you can may force fed it inside the private domain. Then he said, so now the force feeding, it's like the case when you hold the bucket and also hold the animal. And and nonetheless, what we call Rosho Rubo, that most of the head and most of the animals, it's in the domain that one who feeds them, standing there. So so the Gemara rejected it, said, "My be'ema namediktani." Again, what type of what is the animal that we taught in the Braita? Again, the same thing. Gamal, it's camel, so they have a long neck. Ve'atanya, we learn in one Braita Behema, Ve'atanya Gamal. How come we said in one place that it's applied to animal, and the other one we said that it is camel? So they respond, Midegabe Adadetanya, that we learn both Braita together, that we have to say that when we use the word Behema, we included also others and not only camel. Tanina Meachi, Rabbi Lazar Oser Begamal, Oil V'Tzavor Aruch. Rabbi Lazar forbids camel because they have a long neck. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Barada Lo Trutz Partzei Biraot Ela Lo L'Regal Milva. That's very important. Rabbi Yitzchak Barada said that the upright board surrounding well were only permitted that those pilgrims that come in the festivals, in order for them to have water from those wells on Shabbat. So he said, Ve'atanya, what we learn in the Braita, Lo Utru Paseh Biraot Ela Legabe Behema Bilvad. We learn that all the boards surrounding the well are permitted only for cattle. So the Gemara responded and said, My Behema, what type of cattle we're talking here? Behema Tolei Regalim, the cattle that apply to pilgrims. Aval Adam, but if a person wants to drink for a well on Shabbat, so just the top of 21, Metapes v'ole, metapes v'yored, must climb up and must come down the well and drink there. So Ini, is that true? He said that only the surrounding well, the board surrounding the well permitted only the well contain a portable running spring water. But if it's for the animal, what's the difference between spring water and regular water? It said so we are talking about that something that is feed for human. So therefore that's considering as an important water in a sense that only in that situation those water, those upright board surrounding the well, considering a petition, in order for that they have to have a important water in a sense. It has to be water that's feeding for human. First halacha is Rambam Ilchot Shabbat 17. Chatzer sheroshah echad nichnas lebein hapasim. So if you have a courtyard interposed into the area between the upright board surrounding a well, one may carry from the courtyard into the area between the upright board and from the area between the upright board into the courtyard. However, if there are two courtyards, is prohibited unless the residents establish a joining courtyard, which is a roof, and that's the Rabbah. And that's the Magid Mishnah on the Rambam Ilchot Shabbat chapter 17. We also discuss a situation that the water it's dried up on Shabbat. If the water of the well dried up on Shabbat, it becomes prohibited to carry in the area between the upright boards surrounding the well. That's the Rabbah. And if the water, all of a sudden you have a new one come on Shabbat, if a cistern filled the water on Shabbat, one may carry it in the area between the board, even the cistern was dry when Shabbat began. Now we talk about a petition. It is permitted to carry in an area surrounded by a petition when they unwittingly erected on Shabbat. If the petition was intentionally erected on Shabbat, it's indeed constructed as a petition, but only in a matter of halachic stringency. Consequently, it is prohibited to carry from an area enclosed by such a petition into a public domain and vice versa, and the sages prohibited carrying within the area as well. Another important halacha is someone who one may not throw an object from the public domain into the area between the upright board, even there's no well and many people pass through them. Now we talk also about someone who changed his mind. So he said that if one pick up an object into in a private domain, intending to put it down somewhere else in a domain, but he decided to carry it out in a public domain, he is exempt from liability according to a Torah law because his initial lifting up the object was done for his purpose. And we say that if there is an issue of feeding animal between two domains. So if the animal standing within the head, but he said most of his body in private domain, one is permitted to feed it. Even the entire animal cannot turn it in the private domain. And that's the opinion of the first version in our GEMARA, and that's the Magid Mishnah on the Rambam Ilchot Shabbat, chapter 17. The last halakha I would like to share with you is the area between the Paseh Biraot. We said that it's the permission to carry where the upright board surrounding the well was initially instituted so the festival pilgrim could give their animals water to drink rather than so that people could drink. And then again, it's Rambam Sefer Zmanim Ilchot Shabbat, chapter 17. The whole idea of a permission of a Paseh Biraot, you have to remember that it was a leniency that applies specifically to that circumstance.